summer 2000 in Kruger. The rainstorms arrive on schedule, transforming the dry bush into a lush green. The rains are particularly heavy this year. Rain falls continuously for nearly 6 weeks. It's unusual, but not alarming. This has happened before. But nature has a way of throwing curveballs. A coastal cyclone directs more rain towards Kruger in 48 hours than usually falls in an entire year. Kruger's residents are about to witness a natural disaster, a once-in-a-100-year flood that changes the face of their landscape, throwing human lives into turmoil.
Everyone was watching the water slowly rise, and people were driving around looking at the Sabi River and seeing, geez, it's coming up quite high, and went down to the Kruger Gate, to the main bridge over the Sabi, and watched it there, and it was like a meter or two below the bridge, and you're saying, yes, this is unbelievable.
The normally peaceful Sabi River has swelled to over 100 times its usual volume. Everything in its path is being swept away. This water cannot be stopped, contained, or directed. As the familiar world is turned upside down, the only chance for survival is to get out of the way, fast. For the first time in memory, water reaches the statue of President Paul Kruger, the park's founder.
There were small streams, they were just full to capacity and flowing retrograde, in other words, in the opposite direction. And I realized that, the river is a lot fuller than that we anticipated. And we just went back to the office, and there was panic everywhere.
The park's helicopter races to get people home. Kruger's headquarters, Skukuza, has become a series of islands. Some of the houses are virtually underwater. Hupel Malan gets to his too late.
The water was already at the back door, and then the next thing, it started coming in from the front. It sort of like surrounded the house. We started carrying stuff out, and the water just rose. It was unbelievable. The next thing, well, I just said everybody must go now because the water is just rising all the time.
The water has risen by 7 feet in just over half an hour, catching villagers unaware. Kruger head David Mabunda is directing rescue operations from high ground.
At the moment, most of the riverbanks houses are already underwater. Half the camp is underwater. We'll start assessing the damage once the river subsides, but it's a terrible loss.
As villagers struggle to save what they can, rescuers are struggling to save lives. A man trapped in a house by the rising water manages to find a way up to the roof. The rescue team battles to reach him.
Finally, there's a piece of sheet metal coming loose on the left-hand side. I'm just going to go into your rotoblader. Is there no way of reaching this guy with a rope or anything? No, there's no way. He's totally stuck.
He got stuck on there when the water came down, and the choppers couldn't get to him. We got our rubber boats, and we went down there, and we managed to paddle in there, but the force of the water was unbelievable. I mean, it was almost like mainstream around there, and we had to use the trees as a barrier so we didn't get washed down the Sabi into Mozambique. Yeah, we managed to get him off and then back off onto dry land.
The rescue team goes straight back into action. 3 workers from a pump station downriver are in danger. The pump station is already underwater, and, alarmingly, there's no sign of the people. The pilot finds a safe place to land. As the waters rise around them, the 3 stranded people are helped aboard.
At the moment, we're trying to get every person on dry ground, but so far, no loss of life, which really is consoling.
And the houses, a lot of them are completely destroyed, and a lot of people lost a lot of things. I mean, I was so busy helping other people, I never thought the water would get to my place, and it also went about knee-deep into my room, and so yeah, it affected everybody in the village.
All 7 of Kruger's major rivers are in flood. The Sabi's risen by an incredible 25 feet. 12-foot rapids dwarf the helicopter, and only 1 bridge is still above water.
There were no real repercussions of the flood to the animals. You know, the animals that were affected by the river really was the hippo and the crocodiles, and they had to get out. You know, they just moved to the sides, they moved into the little streams, they moved into pans and gravel pits outside the river. Whilst animals like buck and buffalo and so forth that have not really need to get to the river, they were just staying away from the river and on higher ground.
The rain finally lets up. All the animals have to do is dry out. But for the human residents of the park, the disaster is just beginning. As the water subsides, the full extent of the damage can be seen. Infrastructure in the park has been hit incredibly hard. The frailty of human enterprise is apparent.
Before it even reached this house, people were already saying, you know, that's the highest it's been in memory. Everybody thought it wasn't going to get higher, and then it would get a meter higher, and then they said, well, it can't get any higher than this, and it just carried on like a bit of a snowball effect.
The Sabi River is peaceful again, but all along its banks, scars from the flood are visible. Southern Kruger is virtually cut off. Roads are impassable, bridges are down, and only one entrance to the park remains open. One day's work for the rivers is going to take months of human work to repair.
I've seen elephants now up to their knees just sinking away, which are normally normal soil, and they battle to walk, so they tend to stay on the sides of the road. I mean, there's thousands of impala and zebra and giraffe and wildebeest and basically everything hanging around on the road. Even the lions, they just stay there. All the animals are probably benefiting from it in the long run. Where they're not going to benefit is with all the insects. And if you look at animals standing now, you can see that their tails are just constantly flicking and they move their ears. I mean, the biting flies are really just took off.
But this hornbill is not complaining at all. Neither are the lions. No traffic and a chance for an undisturbed afternoon nap. Strangely, neither is scientist Donnie Pino.
Although these floods caused quite a lot of damage to infrastructure, it was like a real facelift for all the rivers. The rivers are now completely scoured again. We lost quite a lot of reed beds that started choking up the rivers. A lot of silt was washed out, and also quite a lot of exotic vegetation growing in the rivers was washed out. It reset the rivers to what they were about the early parts of the century, before man started having an impact through water abstractions and excessive irrigation on the flow of the rivers.